I'm Stephen Appinell. I'm the Director of Housing Services here at Bucknell University. Thank you for joining us today as I give a small presentation about what it's like to live on campus from a housing perspective, maybe some things to bring to campus, some interactions with your roommates, a couple of timeline pieces, a couple of elements like that, kind of some nuts and bolts, if you will, of living here in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania on Bucknell's campus. As I said, I'm the Director of Housing Services, so I oversee all of the housing assignments on campus, and I am responsible for pairing all the first-year students and placing them in their housing assignments for their first year. So this is a quick snapshot of kind of what a student room looks like on move-in day before anybody puts a drop of anything in the room. The furniture that you see here is the furniture that comes with the room. A bed, which is an extra long twin. So when looking for sheets, you want extra long twin sheets. Measurement wise, that is 80 inches long. Dressers, sometimes there's 3 drawers, sometimes there's two drawer dressers. Desk, which comes with a hutch or a carrel that you see there, and then a desk chair. It could be one of 2 kinds. There could be these wooden kinds, or we have some that do have wheels and are more of a like an office type of desk chair. The one thing you don't see in this photo that also comes with the room is a wardrobe or a closet. Some of our rooms have built-in closets, and some don't. They'll have a wardrobe, and that's about 3 feet wide. Now with that, most students will have a roommate of some kind, whether that will be one or maybe more than one, has yet to be determined. But most of our rooms, I would say 85 to 90% of our first year student rooms are do have a roommate. There are a few singles. Now, we hope to announce those roommate pairings and those assignments in mid-July. So each student will get an email giving them directions on where to find their roommates. And most likely that'll be within what we call My Home. It is the housing portal that all students have access to, and that's how they communicate, pick rooms, and also meal plans for the university. After they get that, that's when we encourage students to begin the discussion of what it's going to be like living together. We do provide a few pointers and a few references on how to get the conversation started, but you do get a little bit of contact information for your roommate to begin that discussion. When students get here in the fall, with one of their first floor meetings, they'll be introduced to a roommate agreement. And that'll have topics on there for the students to discuss with one another about how they're going to live in the space, whether it's with guests, what time is bedtime, what are you going to use, how long are you going to be on the computer, and how do you like to study? All of those different questions, when to take the trash out, those kinds of things. And then to help with those conversations, each floor will have what's called a residential advisor or an RA. The RA is an upper class student that has been trained in a various different elements, but one of them is to work with students about any conflicts that may arise. So they are trained for mediation and so on. And sometimes, if not the RA, then it may be the community director. Community director is a professional live-in staff person that oversees somewhere between 20 to 30 RAs, and there's a community director for each of the first year buildings. And then you will meet those individuals once you arrive on campus. If you have questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat. I will try to address those towards the end, but feel free to do so. So some items to bring. Some folks may have a list that kind of starts to look like this, and some folks may have a list that may look like this. So we always encourage students to start small and then kind of start to branch out. Main reason being is that during the first year, we do with orientation, we provide assistance with moving. There will be students, staff, student athletes, and also our facility staff, all as a team helping students move in to get them started with their college tenure. After that, students will be on their own to move in and also move out. So whatever's brought into the halls also will need to be taken out as well. So I do have a few suggestions about what to bring and maybe some things to avoid. So some things to consider is to talk to the roommate about trash. That's one thing. We do not provide trash cans. So students do have to bring their own, and there's no trash rooms specifically within the first year halls. Students have to take the trash outside to a dumpster. Another thing to talk about is a refrigerator. This is usually a pretty big topic about bringing a refrigerator. We do have it within our policies that it has to be 4.5 cubic feet or less. And one thing I'd like to highlight is we do have a vendor called Microfridge. It's on one of our web pages, and I'll provide a QR code for that at the end. But you can register for a refrigerator and rent it for the semester or for the academic year. They will bring it to campus and they will pick it up at the end after you depart. So there's no going up and down steps with a refrigerator or anything like that for the students moving in. It's all done through this company. Some suggested items that I wanted to highlight: clothing. Depending on where you are, the climate for central Pennsylvania can be a colder climate. We do have our first year buildings are air conditioned, but after about 2 to 4 weeks of the first semester, we are probably starting to turn over or have turned over to heat. So we will have some colder days here, especially going into the spring semester, early in January and February. Anticipate that it's going to be colder. We have a very walkable campus, so considering what kind of shoes you want to bring, more than just flip-flops, I would encourage, and also an umbrella because we do have a rainy and snowy climate as well. The other option we have is shipping items. You can ship items ahead of time. After August 1st, our mailroom will start being able to receive packages that you could mail to yourself. So if you don't want to bring everything in your car, you do have the opportunity to have things shipped here. And I will provide instructions from our mailroom about what that looks like. Some suggestions of what to avoid on campus. Some of these might make sense, but I still kind of want to highlight them just in case. For example, a car. First-year students aren't permitted to have cars on campus. Now, to get around, we do have a shuttle on campus that does do a loop. It goes to various spaces on campus, and it goes to a few of what we consider our downtown locations. Like it will hit a grocery store. There is a pharmacy at CVS is our local pharmacy that's in that area, as well as stopping at a Walmart as well, and one or two other locations. So we do have a shuttle service that runs pretty early in the morning to pretty late at night. AC units, like I said, all the rooms are air conditioned, so there's no need to bring an AC unit. Candles are not permitted, as well as one of the things we discourage are LED light strings. They usually come fairly long and are taped to the walls. Unfortunately, what we've been seeing recently is that when they go to remove them, it is peeling paint and the drywall paper off the walls. Those are really good at sticking, but they're not really good at unsticking. So we have had some challenges with those. So we are suggesting that those are items that would remain at home. I do want to talk about extension cords. So this one on the left is one that brown one that you may see. I know I've had them in my home, but that is one that we are going to encourage that you not purchase and bring to campus, but rather look for one that's called UL certified. And you would look for the UL certified safety sticker on it. Now, this is just an example, but also surge protectors, also to have them be UL certified. It doesn't have to have like the easy grip or the molded strain relief. I'm just using this image for the sticker. But those are the kinds of things that we want or prefer to have in our halls. And throughout the year, our staff will do health and safety inspections of student rooms. They'll be announced and we'll let students know when we're coming. But just to make sure that we don't have like a surge protector that we call daisy chains, where it's like every outlet's used by another surge protector and things like that. So kind of shifting gears a little bit to our housing calendar. Um, August 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. is a move-in day. We do allow students to come to our office to pick up their key on that Tuesday. It's the Tuesday before orientation starts. The reason we have this day is this date's really designed for those that might be traveling from a great distance, maybe some from the West Coast and so on. So if you do pick up your key that day, you can start moving in. Do note, though, we do not provide assistance in moving in on that day. You would be on your own to move your stuff in. However, on August 20th, from 8 a.m. to noon, that's when a majority of students would move into the halls. And then orientation starts right at noon or right after lunch. And we hit the ground running with starting off the academic year. And we do provide assistance. You'll get more detailed instructions about move-in as we get closer later in July and early into August and what that looks like. Now, if you've got other arrangements for arriving earlier, whether you're part of pre-orientation or you are participating in a fall varsity sport, you'll get separate instructions about how to move in and what those logistics look like, but this is for a majority of the population. We do have 2 breaks during the fall semester, fall and Thanksgiving break. Each break, students are able to stay if they wish. We do have a registration form for students to complete if they do wish to stay during the breaks, but there are no classes during those times. Winter break, same thing. Students can register to stay. Winter break's a little different because it's a little bit longer, and there is 2 weeks where a majority of the university is closed. So there are not many folks on campus. There are some students on campus. Now, going between the fall semester and spring semester, Bucknell does not ask students to move out. They do not have to turn in their key or anything like that. If they're keeping the same housing assignment from fall to spring, they can keep their key and their ID. They just need to bring it back with them when they return for the spring semester, which would start after the new year. Just a couple of helpful sites. These are a couple QR codes. The one on the left takes you to our website of what to bring / leave at home. And I will talk to this one question here that asks about bringing trash cans. We do not provide trash cans. Students can bring their own. And then the other site is to our student mail services page, which talks about any items that you want to ship. It'll highlight how a student can find their mailbox number, so knowing how to get it addressed to them, how the mailroom works, when they're accepting packages, the different shipping companies, and also things that they may not accept. One of the things is about freight. The mailroom doesn't accept freight. So going back to some of the other questions in the chat, how do we learn the height of the bed for buying under the bed storage? So here's my general rule of thumb. The beds will go from anywhere between knee height up to hip height. And you can fit, so in that picture I showed, if you put the beds at the top rungs, because they are adjustable, it should be able to fit your dresser underneath the bed. So we have both electronic access and physical key access. Every student and staff member gets a Bucknell ID card. And in those cards, they have proximity chips that let students into the hall that they live in. Then they are also given a physical brass key that will open up the door to their room. And so there's those 2 layers, and you only have card access to the hall that you live in. If you have a guest that's coming from another building, you would just have to walk downstairs to the front door to let them in. So the rooms in Vetter, the photo may be a little deceiving in the way they are. So the two dressers are built side by side, do slide under the bed. They do come out and they can be stacked on top of one another, but they're not built into the beds. Feel free to drop any questions that you might have into our chat. Ooh, good question about residential colleges. So if you're not familiar with residential colleges, that is essentially what we would call a living learning community. So as a first year student, each student has to take what's called a foundation seminar class. Some of those foundation seminar classes are clumped together in different themes for our residential colleges. And there's 7 themes, examples of arts, humanities, nature and innovation, social justice, society and technology, and so on. If you are in one of those foundation seminars that lands under one of those themes, then you would be clustered together with your other students who are in those classes as well. And then with on those floors, there's more than just an RA. There's something we have that's called a junior fellow or a JF. That is another upper class student who focuses on programming that is centered around that theme. So for the arts res college, for example, they may go to different shows. They may take a bus trip over the weekend to New York City to see a show, or different museums, things of that nature. So they really just focus on the programming of those res colleges. And that's all done through when students start to preference their classes. So there should be an indication if a class is within a residential college when a student is doing that. And that is primarily for the first year. Students can opt into doing it their second year and beyond, once they get to the spring semester. And that will be explained more in more detail during the spring semester. Um, and then the two the residential colleges are housed in 2 different buildings. There's some in Smith, and then there's some in McDonald Hall. And those colleges typically float back and forth depending on the number of students that are in those colleges, and getting them to fit within the respective halls. The rooms do have overhead lights. A lot of students bring their own type of lighting, usually like task lighting, like a desk lamp, or sometimes maybe a freestanding lamp. You'll see on our list one of the things we don't permit is halogen lamps. I don't know if those even exist anymore, but that is one that we ask that not come to campus. Window fans are allowed. The ones that students like the most that I've seen are those dual fans where they can expand back and forth a little bit, where you could turn one going in, one going out. But students find those to be pretty popular. Yes, you should be able to slide the dressers under the dorms outside of Vetter. That should be feasible to do. And if you need assistance in getting the beds to go up and down, our facility staff should be around to assist doing that. You may have to put and work with the RA. We have what's called work orders. These are also utilized if there's like an issue facilities wise with the room. But you could put a work order in, and then they'll be able to come to your room and adjust your bed as you would like. Another thing that students do too is risers to get a little bit more lift out of the building. They look like little plastic pyramids almost, that give the bed another 6 to 8 inches of rise. Students find those to be very helpful if they want to put other things under their bed, like their suitcases or any other storage bins that they might have. Good question about shared bathrooms. So yes, we have what are called community bathrooms. Most of our floors are co-ed, but there are two bathrooms per co-ed floor, meaning there could be a male room and a female room next to each other. But there is a strictly male restroom and a female restroom. Each of them having the appropriate number of toilets, sinks, and showers. Um, and then the students would share those. There are shower stalls. It's not like one big, what we would classify as a gang shower anymore. They're just the shower stalls, and there's usually a space prior to the shower for that is closable for changing and going into the shower. Our ratio depends on the size of the hall. So it could be as low as 8, but it could be as high as uh, 12 people sharing a restroom. It all depends on the size of the hall. And then the restrooms get a little bit bigger as there's more students on the floors. Um, can't leave a shower caddy in the bathroom since it is being shared. Sometimes students will, as a community, put things on the counters for the sinks, but not a lot. We don't have enough space in the bathrooms for 8 to 10 people to store the things there. Normally, the shower caddies are stored within the student rooms. Make sure I didn't miss any. Ooh, laundry access. Good point. I did not get to highlight this one. There is laundry facilities in each building. It is not on every floor. It's within a laundry room within each building. And we are transitioning this summer to a new laundry vendor, which means come fall, laundry will be at no cost at the machine. So there's no putting money on cards or coins or anything like that. Students could do laundry at their whim um, in our laundry rooms. And we do have, there are quite a few machines. Our bigger buildings have more machines than some of our smaller buildings, but it's a one laundry room in each building. McDonald has two laundry rooms. I should rephrase that. You are able to have curtains. What we encourage is tension rods. And then once you get your room information, you should have access to window dimensions. So that'll be able to assist in determining the size of windows for a tension rod. Each window does have what we call a blackout shade. It could be all the way up, it could be all the way down, but it is intended to let zero light into the rooms. There will be an app that students can download to see availability of laundry machines. I haven't gotten access to the app yet. We're still in transition. But I believe they told us that there is notification when laundry is done, when a wash is done and when a dryer is done. Yes, there are common rooms slash lounges in each of the buildings. Each building has one larger space lounge that students have access to. Each of them have different amenities in it. Some of them have a pool table. All of them have some sort of television that either students can use the boxes that are there, or they can plug in their devices if they wish. Maybe they have their own Netflix account or something like that. They can do that as well. Um, there are each of our first year buildings also has kitchens, and microwave access. So students can use the community space, but we do not provide pots and pans in each of the kitchens. So that would be up to the students to provide. Sometimes pots and pans are provided by the community director, depending on the time of year, or if they're doing programming within the kitchens. Um, Bike hours or bikes stored. We do have bike racks all throughout campus. We don't have bike storage inside the buildings, and same with electric scooters. Electric scooters are permitted in certain parts of campus, not all parts of campus, but we do ask that they are stored outside. A lot of students do bring scooters into the halls and charge them within their room. But they can't be like left in stairwells or hallways, as it becomes a tripping or fire hazard if there was an emergency. Quiet hours are set typically by the community. We do have a published set of quiet hours, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I apologize. And during finals, once after the last day of classes, then we have 24-hour quiet hours, which we do enforce during that time. They can keep it in their room if they want. Most students keep their bikes outside. So for a student's mailing address, I believe they do have access to that within my Bucknell. And then this one QR code that's on the screen for student mail services, there is some instructions about how to address things to the students, to include every student gets like a box number, begins with a C, and that's outlined there. There are four first year halls. There's Vetter, Smith, McDonald, and Swartz. Those four halls house first year students. Smith and Vetter are primarily all first year students. McDonald and Swartz sometimes have some upper class students, but those students are on different floors. Each floor for first year students is purely just first year students outside of the RA and possibly a JF. Yes, once they move in on the 19th, once they're given a key, that is their bed space, and they can stay there if they wish. If after this session you come up with a question, you can email us at housing@bucknell.edu. I put it in the chat. We'd be happy to try and answer your questions as best we can. Um, Food on the 19th, no, there is no food, but starting on the 20th, when orientation begins, that's when we will start providing food. There is food for students all throughout orientation until their meal plans start, which would be on that Sunday after move-in. That's at dinner time. That's when the meal plans start. There will be like we have a space on campus I should highlight called the Bison that will be open if students have funds on their card to be able to swipe and pay for food if they want to, but the meal plans won't be available on the 19th. Yes, if a student wanted to use a credit card or debit card, they can use that instead of their putting money on their Bucknell ID card. Um, they can do that. And I just found out recently that if you have Google Pay or Apple Pay or any of those are accepted at the Bison as well. Funds can be put on the meal plan card, I believe at any time. I believe there's instructions online on how to do that, and you can do it online. You don't have to like stop in and provide a check. Um, that is something that can be done digitally. The meal plan options, I'll do my best to highlight the differences. There are going to be this year two options for first year students. Majority of our first year students eat in an area called Boswick. It's our main cafeteria, and it's all you care to eat once you swipe in. And they have quite a few different varieties of things during the breakfast and different at lunch and then even different at dinner. There's usually, I call it live cooking, where somebody's cooking the food right then and there for you. Think of it like a omelet bar, that type of stuff. Um, and then I think the major difference between the meal plans is how much you get in dining dollars, which is the extra money that you can use, say, a la carte. You can use it in the Bison. There's also another eating place on campus called 7th Street Cafe. That's more like a coffee shop, like a Starbucks, if you will. And then we also have the McDonald Commons. That space is up near our South Campus apartments. So there's not necessarily first year housing there. So first year students might find that to be out of the way compared to the other spaces that are closer to their halls. There's also a small cafe inside the library that they can use their dining dollars at as well. So are single rooms smaller than double rooms? Yes, they are. Single rooms are typically designed to take on two students, where double rooms intended to take on, or single rooms intended to take on one student. Double room is intended to take on two students. So there is a little bit less square footage there. So during a pre-orientation program, that program will establish all the meals. Depending on what the program is, they will dictate what the food is, and the program coordinator for each program would be able to provide more details about what the meal options are for those few days. Yes, all of the dining areas take the same forms of payment. Parents can help if they wish, but we have a pretty well-oiled machine when it comes to moving. A typical situation is you pull your car up and then you unload it. You tell the staff what room it's going to. The student then goes to pick up some of their orientation and move-in materials. Is going to be their ID card, their name tag for orientation, and their room key and a few other things. And then by the time they're done doing that, all the stuff is typically moved into the room by then. So it's a very efficient process. We're trying to move in some 1,000 students or so within a 4-hour period. So we have a lot of assistance with that because we want to get everybody settled and then you can start getting the room ready. So parents can come and participate, but I will share that in the orientations that I've been a part of, and I've been here for 16 years, most parents don't have to participate. Yes, for international students, there is an international student orientation, and part of that orientation is opening up a bank account. So if one's not already established, our international student orientation assistants and the professional staff assist in getting those established at a local bank. And we do have in our, it's called the Langone Center, it's our student center. There are some ATM or Mac machines if individuals need cash. Yeah, you can just come as you wish. There's not set times. And there's not a like busier time than others. I would say the busiest time is probably within the first half hour as we are getting the first groups in and started moving. But once that starts, it's a pretty good flow throughout the day. So for putting things on walls, there's a couple options out there. The 3M strips we find to be pretty successful. There needs to be a little bit of care in taking them off. It's like you got to kind of pull it slowly, otherwise it will rip the paint off. But those work pretty well. And then not as popular anymore, but it used to be I used to know it as Fun Tack. It was kind of like a putty. That worked well also. But students will use like hooks and hang pictures up that way, or just regular 3M types of stickies to hang things on the walls. So sometimes people do over the door hooks. I see this more so on the wardrobes, where they will hang it up on the wardrobe door. A lot of students hang towels that way, or maybe a backpack, if you will. Some students do put it on the room door, but I do see it from time to time on the wardrobe doors. So the ATMs that are in the um, Langone Center, I don't know what those are off the top of my head. Um, but I feel like I should be able to find that kind of quickly. So one is by M&T Bank. I'll put the name in here, the chat. And the other one is by, I'm not familiar with this one as much. Service First is the other one. If there are no other questions, I thank you for coming. I'll put our email address in here one more time in case you need to copy that. And if you have other questions after this, feel free to reach out.